Robert, they raided the journalist for the Washington Post. They executed a search warrant against her. Her name is Natanson. Forget what her first name is. And the pretext, or at least the context, is there's a government contractor who is security clearance, say independent contractor at the Pentagon. I believe it's the Pentagon, who's been stealing classified information, accessing classified information that he does not have the need to access, photocopying stuff, and allegedly transmitting it to this journalist, Natanson, who has been publishing leaks, disclosures, whatever you want to call it. The individual, at least at last reporting, has been arrested. The Pentagon contractor is now in custody, arrested, and they've executed a search warrant against the journalist from the Washington Post, Compost, presumably to, they say the target is the contractor, not the journalist. And then the only question that I have is, I'm not reflexively taking any position, which is I loathe the Washington Post. I believe that, it is an activist organization that might be engaging in unlawful means to undermine Trump's presidency and, potentially disclose information that might actually cause national security issues. Flip side, this is raiding of a journalist and seizing of phones, computer, a Garmin watch. Whether or not it's to get information and evidence that this individual actually transmitted the info to her, it sounds like they already know that. The question is, what else are they gonna nab as an indirect result of raiding a journalist? The New York Times versus the U.S. and the Pentagon Papers, no prior restraint. So the government could not even prevent the New York Times from publishing highly classified information. I've got people telling me, Viva, this isn't about anything other than you can't possess classified information as a journalist. And I'm like, well, how the hell can you be protected to publish it if you're not protected to possess it, unless that you were engaged in the criminal activity of soliciting or participating in the illegal breach to obtain classified information, which they've accused Assange of in the past. That's where my thinking process is, and I want to make sure I understand all angles of this. Where have I got it wrong, and what is your initial analysis?
I'd be curious what magistrate signed this? Because was this in the District of, was the search warrant itself of the Post reporter in D.C.?
I'm going to see if I can.
I'd be very curious what venue this was. I could see it easier that they could get out of ease. It's like normally you get a subpoena for or in this case, I guess not a subpoena, search warrant. That's very unusual. A search warrant for a reporter out of by the Trump administration, that they would be very reluctant to grant it, and that they would carve out, say, you can't seize this, you can't seize that. It all has to be turned over to an independent team before before anybody is able to see it at the Justice Department. So I'd be curious about, number one, is which.
And to answer that question, apparently, I mean, it's AI, but I presume they can at least aggregate the internet. It says venue is Virginia.
Okay, that makes more sense. Second part is, this screams deep state. So here's the problem with their claim that, somebody else is the target. Why do you need to search the reporter's house then? All you need to do is search his property, see what he sent. In order to prove what he sent, you get that from his phone, his material, so on and so forth. So it's only if somehow you can't get that from them, then you would go to the reporter. But a search warrant is a very aggressive effort. Generally discouraged of the institutional media, especially. And so everything about it screams to me, this isn't a Trump case, but this is a deep state case. That the deep state's favorite jurisdiction is the Eastern District of Virginia. They rubber stamp anything they ask for, because basically it's a Langley request. Tells you how utterly out of control the Justice Department is. I've heard that all day today. People that they're threatening all across town to be because the corruption is getting out, and their reaction isn't, hey, maybe we should end the corruption, maybe do that. No, let's think about all the possible people that could possibly expose our corruption, and let's wage holy war on them. These people are incompetent. Oh my goodness. But this screams out of control prosecution run by the deep state, targeting a media person who I guess is not, usually the Post, by the way, plays ball with the deep state. So I'd be curious what is it they're saying he leaked? Do they have any specificities as to what even the subject matter is?
Yeah, I had the article in the backdrop here. Let me just see if I can pull this up. I just wanted to confirm he is Aurelio Perez Lugones is currently in custody, arrested early January, charged with unlawful retention of national defense under the Espionage Act after FBI searched his home, discovered classified documents, a lunchbox in the basement, made his initial court appearance. Let me see if I can find what the nature of...
what's the topic about other than classified? That doesn't tell us a whole lot. They classify everything.
Here, hold on one second. This one. Let's see if it's in the New York Times article. They conducted a search at the home. Yada, yada, yada. It's exceedingly rare. The reporter has spent years covering the Trump administration's efforts to fire federal workers and to redirect much of the workforce to enforcing his agenda. Many of those employees shared with her their anger, frustration. So I don't know how that would be top secret clearances relates to restructuring personnel.
I suppose it could be a Trump-connected case, but then I'm surprised they greenlit the warrant.
And in terms of, I don't. When's the last time that any journal? I can think of a couple of cases where they go and they got James O'Keefe's records on the basis. It wasn't on the basis of him possessing classified information, but it was on the basis of him having allegedly enticed the theft of or participated in the theft of Ashley Biden's diary. I've seen some precedent where it was
some idiot who thinks this is a cheap way to intimidate potential whistleblowers. Won't work, of course.
Well, that's what I was thinking about. Not to put any names on blast, like the Steve Bakers, who are potentially getting confidential information from their sources within, and this is one way to say, look, we're going to come after even the Washington Post journalists.
Or a message to the federal employees that are leaking.
Hey, undoubtedly. They want to get at
that's an intimidation effort. We'll even go after the reporter, so you don't have protection there. But I have zero confidence in so many of the key decision makers in the Justice Department. I will tell you this: historically, this kind of search warrant had to be approved by the Attorney General or the Deputy Attorney General. That any warrant on a major media institution had to usually get approved by the very top. So I'd be curious who approved this. It sounds sloppy, to be blunt about it. And it wouldn't surprise. Again, everything I've heard about the top of the Justice Department and everything I've seen and witnessed in live time from other clients, cases, etc., they're just a disaster. They're a walking, talking disaster. Who think, and the problem is they may be getting the wrong message from the president. Well, that's what McGregor was talking about. That this message of the only thing that restrains me is my morality. That's not a good message to be sending in general. This is what got Nixon into trouble after he resigned, was when he said famously, if the president does it, it's not illegal. That did not go down well with the American people. So he's got all these rogue, crazy actors doing whatever they want, sabotaging him regularly and routinely, sabotaging his policy regularly and routinely, trying to you heard what McGregor said, but same thing I'd heard about how they're completely excluding Gabbard from any meaningful involvement. That's a violation of his election promises. But it's there's aspects of it that are a nightmare. If they don't fix the Justice Department, Trump will get impeached. He'll later on get indicted. His family will get indicted, and he may get convicted. That's how bad it is if they don't wake up. Vance will get impeached. Everybody will get impeached. You got to fix the Justice Department now, or this shit show is going to be Watergate on steroids.
Listen to this. It's AI generated, but hopefully they can pull from the reports. Apparently it relates to unlawfully retained sensitive national defense intelligence reports related to an unidentified foreign country, referred in court documents as country one or unnamed.
That's about them.
That sounds like Israel.
Yeah. The Israel lobby just runs the government. I mean, it's unbelievable.
We're trying to piece it together in real time. People subject. But now, Robert, what is the legal protection? People say, well, reporters don't benefit from any more First Amendment rights or.
No. The Supreme Court has not meaning. So prior restraint only said you couldn't enjoin publication. Didn't provide any protection, any privilege. So you have a journalistic privilege sometimes under state law, but for the most part, journalistic privilege is not recognized by the federal courts. So they don't recognize any right to keep confidential your sources, your information, any of that.
So you can publish it. You can still get prosecuted for it, or you can still be held in.
Oh, yeah. You get prosecuted for publishing it. You get prosecuted for possessing it. You could get prosecuted like Assange was for soliciting it. So
we agreed that was a BS extension of
absolutely, and that's what I'm sure there'll be people that'll get annoyed. I mean, we talk about this on the Sunday show, but I don't change my legal views or my constitutional views to serve a politician. I don't care who it is. So if this is what the Trump administration is doing, it's dumb and wrong, in my opinion. Yes, you can get away with it. Yes, the courts don't enforce the First Amendment application to journalistic privilege, but I think they should. I think there should be broad-based whistleblower protections on all of it. I mean, you saw yesterday finally waking up to how, nobody cares about Epstein, Barnes. Nobody cares about Epstein, baby. But what are you guys talking about? Well, ordinary workers care about it so much, they're screaming at the president about it when he tours a factory. And he gets so enraged, he's saying F you and flipping them off and looking bad.
And not for nothing, this news breaks, the day after, but obviously the investigation had been going on for a lot longer. One could say that's one heck of a distraction, and that was indeed many of the replies on the Twitter feed, the Twitter thread. Okay, it's good to know. I mean, I'm suspicious on the one hand, and I don't want to jump on the bandwagon just because I have a predisposition to loathe the Washington Post and consider them activist journalists, but still don't want people saying, well, now they're activist journalists, so let's go after Assange, let's go after James O'Keefe, because we determined they are activist journalists.
People forget it was Trump who indicted Julian Assange. Trump's administration, after praising him throughout 2016, turned around and indicted him and had him seized and removed, in my view, illegally from the embassy and the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK, where, by the way, we're real partner with Ecuador. Ecuador is now one of the major transshipment spots for drugs into the United States. So when you're trying, I want to stop the drugs coming in. Well, then maybe quit aiding your Ecuadorian pals who have doubled the amount of drug transit to the United States, Mr. President. He's just doing whatever they tell him to do on foreign policy, unfortunately. You heard that from McGregor himself. And again, McGregor was a longtime ally of President Trump, served the President Trump, was a key advisor to President Trump. And so his words of wisdom should be heeded, not ignored in the sort of amongst those who have a cultish affection for the president.